Victoria, how are you this morning?
Doing wonderfully. How are you?
Good. Hey, this is Macky with the Hidden Threads podcast, the podcast about private investigations.
And other stuff.
World events. What else?
You name it.
This and that.
Yep.
Right? So we're back with a new episode today, and we're going to start out. Hey, did you hear about this insurance executive that got killed, Victoria?
Yeah, United Healthcare guy.
What do you think about that?
Just saying, it's a little suspicious. The guy that shot him hasn't been found yet.
You think it's crazy that somebody can walk up in 2024, broad daylight in Manhattan, and kill somebody without getting caught?
Absolutely. I think there's some stuff going on to keep him from getting caught, I think.
You think that some of the... Yeah, I do think that's suspicious. He's not caught yet. So
super sus.
I know New York has some of the finest investigators in the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on here, but we'll see. But it is suspicious. I don't know if you've heard about it or not. If you haven't, the United Healthcare CEO was walking from one hotel to the other across the street one morning at about 6:30, I think.
Early morning meeting.
Go to a meeting, and some guy just walked up and shot him.
Yeah.
In the head, I believe, multiple times.
Casually.
And then walked off.
Yeah.
They got pictures of the guy too, and they haven't found him yet. But
good pictures too, like quality face photos.
Yeah, better than we normally get of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good lead-in, Victoria, but what are we talking about today?
We're gonna talk about what to look for when hiring a private investigator.
What to look for when hiring a private investigator. What do you think, Victoria?
I think background matters a lot. Whether they're licensed, obviously, now is a huge ordeal.
Right.
Previous cases they worked, what's their expertise?
Expertise.
If it's adultery or divorce, like what is their niche? I guess
licensing. What's our niche?
I'd say divorce and child custody is what we're best at.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the most we work. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think if some people, I've seen other guys say, my niche is in niche or niche. What do you call it?
I have no idea. I feel like I said it wrong.
You say niche, I'll say niche.
Okay.
They'll say my niche is criminal. Okay. Criminal defense, which is good. All right. Most of those guys I see that's their niche. They're retired and a little older, and they only want to work a few cases a year. All right.
Yeah.
We're not retired and a little older. We have to make money. So we do criminal defense cases, and we also do adultery, custody. Inside all those, there's a digital forensics aspect to it.
Yes.
And so we don't pigeonhole ourselves into one thing. A couple of things we do not do. One thing we don't do workers' compensation fraud.
Yes.
We will do it, but none of the insurance companies want to pay our fee. Speaking of insurance companies, we have high fees, and they don't want to pay that. The workers' compensation business has become the lowest bidder type thing, and we don't do it.
Yeah. We
have done it for companies that paid us directly, though. They paid our fee, and we did those. So, but yeah, we stick to the adultery, custody, criminal defense. And inside that, we do work with digital forensics as well.
Absolutely.
Right? We'll even get into corporate fraud a little bit, but we're not going to talk about that today much. But we're talking about niches, what to look for when you're hiring a PI. Now, I'm talking about you, the consumer, hiring a PI. You get on Google, call them up, and you start talking to them. All right? If you're talking to one on the phone, you're saying, hey, here's what I got going on, and they won't let you talk, do you think that's a red flag, Victoria?
Yeah, they need to know the story.
They need to know the story, and they need to let you talk and tell them what's going on. All right? Even in an in-person consultation, I don't do much talking at all. I say, tell me your story, and then I'm taking notes the whole time. Now, I'll jump in and clarify if I didn't understand them or need them to clarify something. Then yes, I will jump in. But typically, they're telling the story. All right?
You'll jump in if you have to pull. A lot of people don't want to talk to you, so you're having to kind of pull it out of them.
I have to pull information from them, right?
Yeah.
So, that's a big deal. And what to look for when you're hiring them, though. If they don't let you talk, number one, that's a red flag. If they're just rambling on saying, this is what we do, take it or leave it, I probably would not hire that person.
Same.
I wouldn't hire them to do my lawn if somebody treated me that way.
Right.
But that happens a lot. And we let them talk and tell their story. All right. Number two, what do you think of what'd you name off? You said license, right? I think
licensing is huge now because the laws have changed and you have to be licensed if you want it to be used in court, the evidence to be used in court.
Right. And if not, so you can work your own case without a license. Do you know that?
Oh, like your own, but not anyone else's.
Right.
Right.
Now, the viability of that evidence may not stand up. You may be biased how you collected it. You may have collected evidence illegally. So we're trained in how to collect evidence legally. Number one, we don't break into houses. People ask us to, right?
Right.
They do. They ask us to break into houses, but we can't. They ask us to hack things. We can't hack stuff. But we do gather evidence legally from a place where people don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy, those type of things.
Yeah.
And also ownership of devices, if we're getting into digital forensics, plays a key role. If they're not licensed, which in Alabama, if they're selling themselves as a private investigator and they're not licensed, it's a big fine.
$1,000 a day.
$1,000 a day if you pretend to be a private investigator, per instance, too. So we could get on up there.
Yeah.
And so you can check your licensing with the state board. I would do that. And then another aspect is, have they worked cases before? Is this their first case? All right. Yeah, you may get a new person that's worked for the police or another investigator, and they're stepping out and starting their own business.
Right.
I have nothing against that at all. But some people have asked me for samples, and I give it to redacted samples before, and I give it to them. And we have a variety. Now, when I first started, I told people, hey, this is my first case, but here's my background. And they're like, okay, they were good with it, right? I remember my first case. We'll talk about it one day on a different one. And so yeah, they worked the case. Can they show you samples? Okay. What's the communication program system they have to get the information to you?
Right.
Now, we have a very good program. We use Crosstracks. Ding! Shout out to Crosstracks.
Yes.
And our clients can log in and look at evidence as it comes in. Do they, Victoria?
Not really. They call us instead, but it is so nice. A lot of them, when I'm on the phones just talking to them, how do I, look at the evidence? And when we tell them we have a portal, they can actively log in anytime and see updates. That's just, I think that means everything to them. Yeah. Yeah.
We have a portal where they can log in and look at things as they come in. And most people don't.
Yeah.
They want to talk. They like to call or text you or whatever, which is fine. I don't care.
That's fine.
But some people, and then once they look in, they go, oh, I didn't know you had that much information. Yeah, I've been telling you this.
Crosstracks is a nice source. It's basically like looking at that report before it's finalized. Yeah. Just actively,
It is. Yeah. And so yeah, how they gonna communicate with you? So there's a lot of instances in our area. We get clients and they say, yeah, I hired this guy. You just had some, I think, call you. I hired this investigator and paid them money, and I never heard from them. I still haven't heard from them. It's been months.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem. It gives us the community, the PI community, a black eye.
It does.
But it happens in all industries. I hear lawyers do it. I hear not so much doctors because they have to physically do something for you, but people provide services. They pay a fee up front and you never hear from them. It's big time in the construction industry. But, and then a third thing is, do they have references? Can they refer to somebody? Maybe somebody referred them to you, which is big time if they did. If a lawyer referred this PI to you, they're probably legit. And then can they give you references? I have a list that I can give people to say, hey, we've done work for them and they will vouch for us. Those are big things. What else should we look for, Victoria? You've been doing this for a while.
I think you've nailed most of the main ones. Communication is definitely key, because when people are paying $5,000, they want to be updated and they want to know what's going on and not just be left in the dark about everything. I feel like all of these questions are also things like questions you'd ask your attorney. And I spoke to a client the other day and she's like, I didn't really, fit well with this one guy. So I recommended her another attorney. And it's almost like your personality has to kind of match sometimes with people. So I feel like you can read people, feel their energy, their vibe. And if you like them, then go for it.
Right. So I am big on customer service, client service, whatever you want to call it, and communications. And now I may not tell them everything they want to hear all the time. I'm pretty straightforward about certain things.
I think they respect that, though. That makes you more respectable.
And even the bad news, I try to beat the bad news to them, right? And some PIs I've dealt with come off as very, you can call it arrogance. You can call it, they just don't know how to deal with people very well.
Cold.
Yeah. They just don't know how to communicate well. And some people, that turns them off. They don't like that. And I think we do a good job. We actually train in that, don't we, Victoria? We do training sessions on how to talk to people.
Yeah.
So, and what not to say, what to say, those kind of things to get people all upset. So
yeah. And I don't know, just like that one woman, she's, talking about her old attorney. She's like, I didn't even feel like he wanted to fight for me or listen to me or anything like that. And it's like, if they're not listening to you in the consultation, probably don't hire them. Like you have to, yeah.
And unfortunately, PIs come across that way too. So
yeah, you don't. I mean, you are very blunt, but I don't think you're cold. I think they appreciate your bluntness.
Blunt with soft edges. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because you're very nice and civil and warm to people.
Right. Yeah. I try to be. Another thing when hiring a PI too is where did they meet you? All right. I've gotten clients and they say, yeah, I met with such and such PI. We met in the parking lot of Lowe's. Mm-hmm. I'm like, really? Is it a real company or is it?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Can they not, if they can't afford to have a small office space of some sort, shared office, I don't care if it's a shared office space. If they can afford, they're probably not doing well as a business. And also you can ask them, hey, show me some of your equipment too. If they only show you your phone and say that's all I need, then it's probably a problem.
Absolutely.
I've had clients come to me and they didn't hire the guy because all he had was a smartphone, and they met in a back alley somewhere, like they was doing a drug deal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we use our phones for a lot of things in surveillance, but we also have professional level cameras we use as well.
Night vision and all that.
Yeah, we have cameras with IR, those kind of things to see at night. Mm-hmm. And here's what I look for when I'm hiring a PI. Okay. Mm-hmm. Are they willing to do the work? So there's some misconceptions out there that this is a sexy job where you're driving a red Ferrari like Magnum PI, getting all the girls.
Right.
First of all, if you're going to do surveillance in a red convertible Ferrari, I'm not going to hire you.
Dumb.
Yeah.
You look dumb.
Do they have what does their car look like? We get into that.
Yeah.
And also get into just how they sound when they talk. Do they sound like they can carry a conversation with somebody? Because they're going to be put on a witness stand one day and have to clarify their report. They're going to be asked some questions. They're going to be challenged by the other side on their validity of their evidence they found. And I try to find people that when I'm talking to them, can they carry themselves well? Or do they seem like they have intelligence?
Yeah.
And that's who we try to work with. So what else, Victoria?
I feel like a lot of people, just a good look about you, carry yourself professionally. You're not dressed like you just came off the road,
So I dress bad sometimes.
You don't dress like you came off the road.
Oh, okay.
You dress like a normal person. You carry yourself professionally.
Right. Okay. Do I?
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully I do.
Absolutely.
When I'm dressed in my redneck chic and my Wrangler shirt and my boots, but
doing active field work, of course, you're going to look a little bit different than going to court.
Right. But even my redneck clothes, I iron them and make sure they're neat and clean, right?
They're not full of dirt.
All right, everybody. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to discuss more.
Peace.
Hey, Macky here. I hope you enjoyed our podcast. I want to talk a little more about what we do in terms of digital forensics. So digital forensics is an interesting aspect of our job, and we're all certified to gather evidence in the digital realm. This means that computers, smartphones, tablets, you name it, we can go in and recover deleted data. Just because they say it's deleted doesn't mean it's deleted. We have the tools and expertise to recover this data. That includes text messages, emails, cloud forensics, you name it. We are certified to take care of this for you. So if you have questions about digital forensics and how it will help your case, give us a call, 866-910-7499, or reach out to us through MackeyOutlaw.com. Thank you.
We're going to continue talking about what to look for when hiring a PI and some of our competitors.
Okay, competitors.
Yes.
We're not going to talk bad about them. We're going to give some examples of things I've seen in the field. How about that?
Sounds good.
I'm not going to talk. I have some good relationships with a lot of our competitors. So
yes.
But these are some I've seen out there that are kind of, we'll say the word sketchy.
Okay.
All right. Brings to mind down in South Alabama, over the last few years, there was a guy, he had a private investigator license, and he was taking money from people and then just never calling them back, not doing anything. I had some experience with this guy. I actually, back when we did process serving, I had one in some remote place in South Alabama, and I just Googled the guy, his name come up, and I called him, and he said, yeah, email it over and I'll get it done. Okay. we're talking $85. We're not talking a ton of money.
Yeah.
And a week goes by. I tried to call him, emailed him. Nothing. He just didn't do it. So I had to go find another one to go get it done. This is the same guy. But I got to looking into him, and he had taken a lot of money from clients.
Yeah.
We're talking in the $100,000 range.
Jeez.
And they brought up some criminal charges on him. He had some stuff confiscated, a bunch of guns, trucks, you name it. So yeah, that gives us a bad name.
It does.
When you do business, another thing about private investigators, don't do anything without a contract. Get a contract in writing about what's going to happen, how payment gets taken. If you give them cash, get a receipt from them. All right. Credit card, make sure you get a receipt from them. Make sure everything's on paper. Yeah. We do everything straight up here. It's on paper. There's a legitimate contract, legitimate invoices, and you can even go in our cross-track system and see what hours have been used. That's another thing we get a lot is we'll do the 25 hours and people call up and say, hey, do I have any more time left? I'd like to do this. And we said, there's no more time left. We told you that. And they're like, well, I want more time. Okay. It's $200 an hour.
Pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you got to pay us. But yeah, the guy in South Alabama gives us all a bad name. And
it doesn't look good.
Some other competition things we've had. We've had one, I think I've mentioned this, where he pretended to be other people, called us up, pretended to be a difficult client. And I remember the call. And I just told the guy, I'm like, hey, we're not a good fit for you. We're not going to do business with you, because he was being a problem on the phone already. Yeah. I'm like, if it's going to be this way, imagine being married to this guy for a month. Right. And I just told him, hey, we're not going to do work for you. So he goes in and leaves a review saying he doesn't help people, blah, blah, blah. But this was my competitor.
Right.
That comes back to Alabama Private Investigation Board. I told them what happened. It wasn't just me. It was several others he'd gone after and done this to give them get bad reviews on their Facebook and Google pages. Yeah. And the PI board just said, hey, that's a civil matter. Deal with it that way. I'm not really. So your mission is to uphold us in a position of public trust, but you're going to let somebody lie and be deceiving that way and hurt somebody's business. So PI board, if you're listening,
check yourself.
But yeah, this guy, he never he worked for a couple of PIs in his background. He kept getting fired. So he started his own company, and he is a problem for our industry. He doesn't do what he says he's supposed to do. We had a client come from him about a $4,000 case that he worked for this guy.
Didn't work for this guy.
Gave him the money, and he never did anything. He never did one thing for the guy, and now he can't find him. And I told the guy, I know where he lives. He goes, well, I'm going to sue him, get my money back. And I said, that's on you. But the guy hired us, and we went and found him. It was real quick. We found exactly what he's looking for. Yeah. So back to what I look for when I'm hiring a PI. Somebody that's wanting to do the work. You've got to get off your couch and go do research online. Get in your car and go see what's going on at a certain location. Right. You can't just have the title and pretend to be a PI. You actually have to do work. And it's hard work. You're up at weird hours. A lot of driving and a lot of report writing, and people are just lazy and want the money, and they want that title of PI to look cool for their friends at the party.
It's just a lot more to it than looking cool.
Yeah, looking cool. Now, I like looking cool.
Hey, nothing wrong with looking cool.
My kids say I'm not cool at all.
We both are too cool.
We're too cool? Are we?
I hope he goes to jail over that. It's ridiculous. Though.
I don't know. We'll see. They usually never do. Yeah. Another thing I look for when I'm hiring a PI, and you should too, you can look for samples. I'll make them give me a writing sample. If they don't have any, I'll make them do one. I'll give them a little test and make them go out in the parking lot and get some information off some cars and then write up a report just to see if they can do it and see what it sounds like and how they write. I'm not looking for English professors here. I'm looking for people that can follow instructions on how the grammar should look.
Be accurate.
And write it down as they see it. So I do test them out and say, hey, can you write a sentence?
And the wording behind those reports is so important too. Like just using the word approximately. I mean, all these things, it seems like the lawyers can really dig into it and like just tear you up if you don't know really how to write stuff.
Yeah. We use the word approximate, or we use words like it appears to be. Because sometimes we don't have. Now, if we can identify somebody from 500 yards out with a zoom in, and we can say that's them because of whatever identification identifying clothing or tag number, yeah, we can say it.
Yeah.
A lot of times it appears to be, and we're letting reasonable people make the decision on if was it them or not there.
Right.
So I read some competitors' websites, and they say we get definitive evidence. Okay. That begins to be a little bit of pause. Now, sometimes you do get definitive evidence. Oftentimes, it's a collection of evidence that a reasonable person has to make the decision, is this evidence fact or not?
Mm-hmm.
So, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
What else, Victoria?
With our competitors?
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, I have a lot of people that call in and say, hey, I tried this guy out before, didn't like him, try you guys out. I just feel like our company does I feel like we are the best for real. And I know I work here and everything, but I feel like we really, every day talking to clients on the phone, I feel like we do the due diligence. We do everything we're supposed to, by the book. I feel like we're at the top of our service.
Are you biased, Victoria?
And I am biased because I work here, but like I also really feel that way, like talking to people and hearing people's stories. It seems like to me we are the best and our value is the best.
Well, look at that. Victoria's trying to get a raise, everybody. I don't know.
I'm trying to make some sales.
So yeah, I don't bash our competition to our clients or anything. I just say, hey, that's a great story, but what can we do to help you and get what you need so you can move forward? And we do get some stories where number one is they just took my money and did nothing. Never got a report, never got a text or an email saying, hey, this is what we've done. Never got any. We over communicate, if anything, in our company. Some people say, hey, that's good. You don't have to talk to me, but on Fridays. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Now, some people like to hear from us daily or hourly or by the minute sometimes. But yeah. But we spell it out in our contract how the communication works, and that's how it goes. So yeah, that's us talking about our competition a little bit, what to look for in hiring a PI, and how to do your own research when looking for a PI. All right. That's all I got, Victoria.
You get what you pay for.
Get what you pay for. We'll talk to you next time.